Good news, everyone. So, if anybody's not aware, recent NFL news, of course, Tom Brady's recent retirement from the sport. The second time around, literally trying to play Brett Favre, even though he has a higher pedigree, winning percentage, and literally one of the greatest legacies in recent memory for an NFL quarterback. And yet he's still unretired around last March, having an 8-9 record, getting shut out by the Dallas Cowboys in the wild card round. I'm hoping Brady finally retires so we can finally switch up, because the only veteran quarterbacks around that were drafted from the 2000s era is still around Aaron Rodgers. And currently his chances of even sticking to being in Green Bay is slim to none, depending if they're still trying to build around him or even if he's going to tolerate another mediocre postseason or even making the playoffs. They missed it last time after losing to Detroit. So, a lot of questions in the air speculating around if Aaron Rodgers' future is still with Green Bay. That's going to be taking over a majority of off-season time around even after the Super Bowl. Excuse the sound like an idiot. But, shoot! Of course, Sean Payton, Super Bowl head coach for the New Orleans Saints, has recently been hired for the Denver Broncos after a pretty lackluster season, after all the offseason hype, getting Super Bowl All-Pro quarterback Russell Wilson. The Denver Broncos ended up with a lackluster record, falling below expectations, going 5-12 over the season, and then around the middle of the season, firing their quarterback Nathan Hackett after a 4-11 start, ending with J.Z. Rosenberg that was second in command. And with Sean Payton in the helm, possibly some personnel and of course some present role players could be, getting in there for the shot of trying to help out with the team effort, especially with running back issues like Latavius Murray, of course a second string and former player from the New Orleans Saints, could play for the Broncos. All-pro receiver that's been having some attitude issues since the leave of Sean Payton. I think this is since I think this was beforehand. He's been still having issues, even though he's been a consistent receiver, where he even went past 2 seasons without an incompletion, and still a reasonably sized receiver with still a future in his hands. Michael Thomas, if he can make the move over to Denver as well over the offseason, could be a major change in direction. And possibly Teddy Bridgewater or Taysom Hill to put the pressure off. I bet Teddy Bridgewater, more consistent, more effective around over the offense. Not really that much of a rushing offense per se that you can just use a dual risk quarterback like Taysom. And he's already older than it is. I think he's near his 30s already. So I would go Bridgewater because you're going to suspect him to stay after a lackluster season. Or Deshaun Watson. Even though I don't think he was on the team coaching when Deshaun Watson was signed after getting injured second half into the season. And this is after thinking Vic Fangio would actually stay with the Broncos, now he possibly can go up and go coach for other teams, like the San Francisco 49ers, that's been having an issue trying to compensate for a defensive coordinator position so we can still keep a job. After losing DeMeco Ryan, getting signed to the Houston Texans, and I think anything would be better for the Houston Texans. So obviously a coach is always an upside, but can it be a downside for a team depending if the scheme does not fit well? Knowing that the Denver Broncos are a very defensive-centric team that rely on the deep ball. And Wilson can still have it. Of course, his athleticism, he is regularly a dual threat option. So getting Michael Thomas to put the pressure off and him being a major deep threat with having Jerry Jeudy and some exceeded because there was injuries, a lot of haggling injuries on this Denver Broncos team that kept it aside from being very good. Not Javonte Williams, I think Montreal Washington was injured before we were even starting the preseason. Cortland Sutton played 15 games. Jerry Jeudy, decent year, only 970 receiving yards and just misconstrued routes, especially around the red zone, especially with a 67 catch percentage. There's halfbacks that have more. Oh, but it's a shorter range. They still catch it. Can't say that about Giants receivers. And you think Latavius Murray, Melvin Gordon, Javonte Williams, Chase Edmonds, a lot of running backs. And Marlon Mack, former Indianapolis Colt. They were just trying to rotate anywhere with their injury mishaps that were going on. Brandon Johnson got injured until he came back in the second half of the season. So injuries really held over this team. And just trading away Bradley Chubb. That was like a first-round pick for the Denver Broncos over the same draft class as Myles Garrett. So just think how this is just going to play a factor over the offseason. Are they going to keep the quarterback route? Is Wilson going to finally change his attitude with the team? What's going to be the system at play? What's going to be... a lot of questions. I'm curious. Because I feel like they need to make the trade for Max Crosby real quick. A talented, all-around edge rusher that had the highest sack percentage, has been a consistent All-Pro for the Raiders, would really fit a defensively aggressive system with Justin Simmons, Patrick Surtain, Draymond Jones, Quan Williams. A lot of good, aggressive blitzes that have... And the Broncos, even though they have their issues... They have been at least the most difficult team to score above 15 points or higher around over the offseason. And the highest amount of points they allowed was 51, and that was in the latter half of the season around Christmas time. Like, just look at the teams they allow. Under 20 points from the Los Angeles Chargers. Seattle Seahawks, that were the most exciting offense, only under 20 points. San Francisco 49ers, 11 points. I don't know, they scored 10 points. Kansas City Chiefs, they went neck and neck with until the second half of the game where they really blew a gasket. They've had at least the biggest losing streak in NFL history. Out of literally, if they switch sides with the Minnesota Vikings, it would probably be the same event. But they've at least kept close range matchups. So I'm not saying that the Denver Broncos won't keep it competitive. I'm just saying they can capitalize with what they got because Wilson needs time to gel with his offense. And having Sean Payton, a major-time coach that has some correlations with some of these veterans, and actually be a name to actually spit some sense, since he's been in the NFL for quite a long time and dealt with quarterbacks like Wilson. Thanks, he dealt with an undersized quarterback before that has become an all-around great Hall of Famer that Wilson obviously can be, but if he still wants to make a contending and winning team in a difficult AFC West, we're going to question what's going to go on with the Las Vegas Raiders, but knowing that the Chargers are probably going to be in the postseason long term, and so is the Kansas City Chiefs, Broncos need to step up. And Sean Payton's only one of the pieces that are going to be improving over this offseason, because this is going to be probably a concerning offseason involving the Denver Broncos if they still want to win, the Baltimore Ravens, what's going to happen with Lamar Jackson, the San Francisco 49ers, what's going to happen with the quarterback situation. If the Giants are still trying to capitalize, wherever Aaron Rodgers is planning on going, what's going to be the quarterback situation for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? So, a lot of news. So, it's always possibly one of the best parts of the NFL season, and that's the off season. And that's only going to show what Sean Payton's even going to let his team hear, because of course we're going to hear the business side of him first and then the football. So tell me how you guys feel about Sean Payton being the head coach for the Denver Broncos. I want to hear everybody's opinion on it. Of course, if you guys have hate for Tom Brady, love or hate, bro, he's still like possibly the biggest face in the NFL. Now it's technically Patrick Mahomes, and Brady has been the most accomplished. We can't deny at least his success he's had in this league, and even without Tom Brady, without Bill Belichick, he still won a championship with Bruce Arians before he left out after a poor season over in Arizona and won a championship with him. So you can't deny, like, Brady has really done stuff for getting finally that monkey out of his back after being called a system quarterback and having so many years playing, especially something like the quarterback position long term, when some quarterback arms really, like, deteriorate. Think of guys like Ben Roethlisberger, top heavy quarterback, oversized, and he has a cannon of an arm. That deteriorated, and they have to stick him primarily over to a running scheme. So, yeah, that could possibly happen, and Brady has the right to retire. Hopefully, everything for him goes well. We understand, like, his family has been the major headline over his football from the mediocre season involving the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the 2022 season. But tell me how you guys feel. Thanks for watching the DST show. And subscribe, like, if you want to watch more. I'm going to go to bed.